John, we're down here at the awards ceremony. We thought we'd just have a little chat with you first because you're, what we say, our matchmaker for Steve Wood.
Yep.
And I've been for about, is it 6 years or something?
It's a long time. I don't know how long. It's a long time, but I've worked with Steve, exclusively. You know, I worked with a few other guys, but all the way through straight line, I worked with Steve. He's the best guy to work with in the business. I've said that to so many people. He's fair. He's too fair to his boxers. I keep saying you're too fair, but you know, he's a good guy to work with. He looks after you, and hopefully I'll work for him for a longer time in the future as well. He's a good guy.
But you're a very, very busy man. Like I say, you run Eastside Boxing with Paul, your mate, and I mean, you're developing a right stable of boxers down here. I mean, not just, you know, because you were known as a bit of a, you know, you looked after a lot of journeymen that fought all over the country, all over the place.
That's all it was in Birmingham at one stage. So I decided to, you know, I made no bones about it. I was never going to get a champion because I wasn't a champion boxer. I didn't have a big amateur club. So I decided to cut my teeth, and I took 2 or 3 years taking these guys all around the country in the hardest fights possible. And I like to think now, when you look at, when we have a bit of a hard time in a fight, the one quality I've got is I'm calm. Because I've been on the road when everyone's against you and everyone hates you and the kid's got no chance of winning. And I've been there and I've got that kid through them times. So them 2 or 3 years looking after them journeyman lads, I think it has developed me as a trainer and a strategist more than looking after 50 prospects. So I've learned every hard bit of the game. And now the journeyman lads are still there doing their job, working with their trainers, and I still get them the right fights. But now I can concentrate on the good lads we've got coming through, the ones who have come to us through what we've built in Birmingham.
Saying that, Sam Egginton come to you to go on the road, didn't
he? To
be
a journeyman, yeah. He seen that lads could earn a wage on the road, and he wanted to. He just had a baby. But it took one spar, you know. It took one spar to see that he wasn't a journeyman. He would never be a journeyman. He couldn't be. The way he fights, his attitude, he couldn't be. So we had to guide him slightly differently. But again, the experience I got and the goodwill I've got off people by helping them out with away fights when they're stuck, it helped me out with Sam, and it helped me get him forward, and it helped him get forward, and it's helping a lot of the other lads get forward.
Well, I was going to say that because when I came down here last year when we did the awards for the first time, I met most of your lads and most of your contenders, you know, and they're all sort of like 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And now they're all 7, 8, 9-0,
and stepping up in rounds.
Stepping up to 6 and 8 rounders, and like you say, Craig Cunningham fighting for titles now, and you know it's
Jordan
really
Cook fighting for titles. Dan Breeze has just won an 8-round title. Marcus French, Carl Wiggins, both become area champions in 10-round fights. You know, if you look, our small gym, I think we had either 5 or 6 local derbies this year. And when I say local derbies, where nobody could pick a winner. And we've won all of them. Now that's lads who are training and sparring right. They're not being given gimmies. You know, they're being matched where I can control the matching, that they get the education and they get tough fights when they need them. And if they get beat, they haven't been beat this year, but if our lads do get beat, it's because they're missing something they've got to learn and they're taking on board. And the outcome is we're getting lads now who are taking on other prospects and they've got that edge on them because they've been given that kind of bringing up. And there's no one to make a fuss. And like I say, 5 or 6 local derbies this year, and we've cleaned up. And the lads have done their job, we've done our job.
And what are you hoping for this year?
Same again. 5 or 6 local derbies, all wins. All the lads to keep winning. The lads who are at that level now to get onto title fights, the lads who are starting to be at their level. It's a process. It's a process that works, so we apply it to them. And if it doesn't work, it's because the lad has got to learn something, or he's got to, you know, adapt, because it works, because it's worked not just for 1 lad or 2, it's worked for 10. So,
well, now I'm going to push you because we've got 3 massive fights coming up over the next 3 weekends.
Go on.
First, tomorrow night we've got Brook in Triple G.
Yep.
Go on then. Probably the easiest one to pick out.
Yeah, the easiest one to pick. Obviously, want Brook to do it as a British guy and a guy we've been up in there sparred with him, but I think Triple G is going to beat him in rounds 7 to 9. I think Brook will have some really good rounds that might surprise people, but I just think...
I think that's just because Triple G likes to give people a little bit of confidence.
Also, I think he's never boxed a guy who's been boxing at a lower weight. I think his speed might shock him a little bit. because he's still going to have that hand speed. Because even if you put a bit of bulk on, you keep your hand speed because you're a smaller guy. And I think Brook hits hard enough to get your notice, and I think he's gonna give people like, wow, I didn't think he'd do that good. I think
Brook's biggest advantage was always the fact that he was a massive,
he was huge
welterweight,
yeah.
and that was always.
It was always a big advantage, yeah. But I think around 7 to 9, the size, and people forget Golovkin's not just a puncher. He had over 300 amateur fights. He's also, Matthew Macklin says to us that Golovkin is thinking one step ahead of everyone. He says, you're doing something, he's already thought about it and he's there. And Matthew's a very, very good analyst of fights. So I hope I'm wrong. And I wouldn't have, I've even got someone picked Brook and they had the pick, so I'll lose 100 quid as well, even though I wouldn't have picked him myself. So I'll lose 100 quid and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm picking Golovkin 7 to 9.
And then we've got Alvarez against Smith. Week afterwards.
Again, someone who I know, someone who I respect, someone who I think is a great fighter. But I think Alvarez will win on points. I don't think he'll budge Smith. Smith's a tough man. I
think Smith will go up in a lot of people's estimation.
Yes, yeah. This could be a fight where the loser comes out with a bit more credit than the winner.
Yes,
because Alvarez might get it because he's the home guy and a bit of experience, a bit of, he's the superstar. But Smith could come out where people are going...
And he's going through his backyard.
Yes. I think Smith's going to cover himself with glory, but if I have to put my neck on the line, I think Alvarez points.
Now, perhaps the hardest one to predict is the week after that, on the 24th in Manchester, where we got Anthony Crolla against George Lianis.
Right. This is the one that I'm glad you've asked me, because I'm picking the English guy. And the last two actually did hurt, because I'm quite patriotic. I think Anthony Crolla is on the crest of a wave. He's super confident. He's strong as an ox. Linares, last time he come to Britain, had a guy who was good in Kevin Mitchell, very good, but also got beat after that to another guy and was on the way down, and he had a life and death with him. I think Crolla is going to stick to the basics, a good solid jab, good solid defence, work the guy's body, and I think he's going to beat him on points.
Do you know what I always say about Anthony though? He's hard.
Yeah.
Proper.
And he's flying at the moment, which counts for a lot.
And I think also the fact that they put the Ring magazine, belt on there as well.
I think Crolla's going to pull it off.
Extra incentive.
And you've seen from my other predictions, I'm not one to just patriotically pick the English guy, but I think Crolla is going to pull it off, and I think he's going to box out of his skin. It could be a career best performance of Crolla. Points win, and it wouldn't surprise me if he stopped him in the last 2 or 3, but points win I'll go for.
All right, John, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Lee, and we'll go down and see everyone else now.
All right, mate. Thank you.